So Cindy, thank you so much for joining us here today on Alberta Impact in regards to the Edmonton Unlimited Startup Week and launch party. So Team Care Plus, a unique approach to solving, I think, something that if they aren't going through it now, they will be going through it soon, an issue where just keeping people up to speed on caring for loved ones. Really, so many applications, so many alleviations that something like this brings to families more specifically, or networks of people that are helping care for, whether it's people in long-term care, elders, or just sick loved ones. So maybe I'll stop there and let you tell us what Team Care Plus is all about.
Team Carepal.
Oh, sorry, Team Carepal.
Well, let's just be honest. I first want to define, who a caregiver is, because caregivers don't identify as caregivers. They make up the largest healthcare provider group in Canada. And they provide 75% of day-to-day care in our communities right now. Yeah. They are the group that is unrecognized, unpaid, and most of the time unsupported. And they are hitting burnout. These are the people like myself who look after a family or friend with an illness, disability, aging needs, your grandparents who needs help with their shopping, your disabled, sibling who needs help, or maybe even it's just your parent with medical complex needs. These are the people that are completely being overlooked right now. Yeah. So Team Carepal is that all-in-one hub that provides them support.
And so you've alluded to that you yourself was one of these people that were, suffering from fatigue. And so you were looking for a solution as well. Do you mind taking us through a little bit of that journey?
Yeah, definitely. So I've had a few different caregiving journeys throughout my life. My first one was with my premature daughter and navigating her survival. The next one was with my mother, who needed some knee replacements and mobile support and medical management. And then the other ones were at the end of life stage for my grandparents and managing, bedside care and a huge family. During all of these, journeys, I did hit a certain level of burnout. Yeah. With my mother, it was a very emotional one. I hated seeing her that way. I was very overwhelmed. I remember going into her parking lot, into her driveway, and just hiding between two cars because I didn't want her to see me from the house. And, I just sat there and I cried. A caregiver doesn't know they're going to be a caregiver. It happens overnight. It happens, a diagnosis, an accident, something happens, they're not prepared. They're not trained. Yeah. And so burnout is prevalent and we need to support them.
So take us through some of the supports that the app assists with and how deep does it go?
It goes pretty deep.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
So we have kind of 5 main features in the application. A primary caregiver, such as myself, downloads the app and I can invite all my friends and family for free to it. We have a social feed that looks and feels like Facebook for long distance, supporters can share photos and letters of encouragement, and you can keep the family updated in this feed. You can make announcements and whatnot, letting them know how things are going. We have a calendar where you can schedule events, manage appointments, which is a really big one between family members. You can invite people, you can make it private, you can track RSVPs. You can also do task lists. A big thing with family caregivers is they have a hard time asking for help. And if they want to ask for help, it's like, do they have time to call around to see who can help them? So in the app, you can actually customize different task lists and you can ask all the people in your community to join or help out with or take ownership of. And everybody knows what needs to be done and how they can help really easily. Family caregivers, in the app, there's 2 different types of users. You have your basic community users, like maybe people from church or from the neighborhood that don't have access to some pretty private features. So the caregivers of the app, say me and my siblings, if we're looking after my parents, we have access to a caregiver journal. And this is a really integral piece because, when I was caregiving, I remember pieces of information kind of all over the place, a letter over here, or, note over there, or a book over here. And when you get a diagnosis, you just have information coming at you from all sides. And it's so hard to keep it all in one place. And then even just to communicate it with your other family members. So the Caregiver Journal is a beautiful place for family members to upload documents. They can record their clinic visits, so you can review it later. You can really build it out however you like. It's really beautiful. And then we also have caregiver burnout assessment for caregivers themselves to really take ownership of where they are in the journey. Research shows that, when you start caring for a loved one, 20 or plus hours a week, there's this pivotal moment that's kind of the breaking point for caregivers. So we really want them to monitor it and take the assessment and monitor their levels while their loved one's journey continues or digresses, so that they can be self-aware and based on that, and we're leveraging, AI for this, we're going to be sending caregivers the resources and supports they need based on their caregiving journey and their burnout levels. So if they're living, in Vancouver and they're looking after a loved one with dementia, we're going to be able to send them those supports based on where they are and what they're doing. And their burnout levels. If they're hitting a certain level of burnout, we're going to connect them to, a coach in their area, or, Caregivers BC coaches, or and recommend that maybe it's time that they start looking for supports to help them.
Wow, so many avenues, and we all don't know that we need them.
No.
Until we're in the thick of it.
Until you're faced with it.
Yeah, and then generally when we're in the thick of it, we don't know where to turn.
No.
And they're not, it's not just as easy as a Google search sometimes. I love the distribution of tasks potential, where you can say, okay, the grandma has to go to this appointment on this day. She needs to be driven. Who's available?
And, and that was a big one that we've gotten feedback actually currently from users in the app right now with a lot of dementia family members.
Right.
At the early diagnosis that, they might be okay, but then they start to get worried, and then, trying to figure out where they are is a big concern, but also managing all the appointments in one area.
Right.
All of a sudden people were like, I'm losing appointments, or so-and-so is supposed to take her. And just that misinformation and organization piece just wasn't there. So they were really excited to have it there.
Yeah, well, and then like you were saying, you get these different, maybe they're going to multiple doctors or multiple specialists and so on and so forth. You're getting this plethora of scattered documents that you're like, does this go here? Does that go where? But now you've got it all centralized, and keeping everybody on the same page is such a big thing as well.
Huge.
And you guys have managed to mitigate that, manage that problem.
Yeah.
So that's very. So where did you come from originally to come into entrepreneurship on starting this? What's a little bit of your background, and what's led you into okay, this is. You're passionate, obviously, about this topic, and you wanted to come up with a solution, and you've come up with that. What was the journey to get to this point?
Well, I, started as a caregiver, and my caregiving journey isn't over either. I have aging parents. We're all faced with this. But it was actually the onset of the pandemic. My husband and I had just made a move to Edmonton, and I was, had gone back to university because my kids were grown and left the house, so I was going through a little bit of empty nest. And it wasn't a good thing for me. I had gone back to university for business and marketing, and the pandemic hit, and there was this huge light that shone on, our healthcare system was really struggling, and family caregivers, it was just taking a toll on them. All of a sudden, they couldn't get healthcare services for their loved ones. They were having to, provide more care. Home care wasn't coming in, and their distress level was just going through the roof. And my husband came in because we had talked about this app since actually it was born at the end of life journey with my grandparents at the side of their bedside. And I kept bringing it up every time, I ended up at that place with another loved one. And my husband came in and he said, that app you keep talking about, he's like, if you're going to do anything, now is the time. The Canadians need it. You need to get to work.
Awesome.
And so I rolled up my sleeves. I talked to my professors, because I was in school, and I was like, let's do it. Let's start.
Awesome. And so professors at school were a big avenue of support for you then?
Yes, because
Awesome.
they allowed me to use it kind of as like a prototype business for a lot of my courses and
Right.
assignments. And they were like, yes, please do so. So they were huge.
Okay. And then where did you venture out when you had other questions? Did you have to go out? Like, I know you're part of the Edmonton Unlimited. So where did that introduction happen and how did that all go?
Yes, Edmonton Unlimited came into my life. So they were my next stop.
Okay.
Yeah, I was struggling to come up with a business plan. By this time I'd met my chief product officer, Paisley Churchill, who's absolutely incredible. She has, been a caregiver herself to her Nana who passed away. So she got on board really quickly. But we found Edmonton Unlimited just, Googling, just trying to find help because as an entrepreneur, it is so hard to navigate the ecosystem and to understand what's next and what should you do next and where should you focus your time.
Right.
And I've never done this before. So it landed me, to Edmonton Unlimited, and they put me into some programs right away and it was just absolutely incredible. Because of them, I had a foundation.
Right.
They filled in all the gaps in my business plan. They made me think about things I never even thought of, and that I should be thinking of, and what I should be focusing on. They were incredible.
Well, that's great. That's super awesome to hear. And the network there, I mean, we've heard this from other aspiring and entrepreneurs, just the network to be able to bounce ideas off of and
100%.
kind of go like, well, what if I hit this wall or I've hit this wall and how do I get over that? So that's super great to hear.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the ecosystem that we created, even with amongst us startups, in that Carepal group that I was in, we still talk to each other. We had an annual, supper together. We still talk to each other nonstop. I love them.
Good. So now with Startup Week and Launch Party, some big things you'll be pitching at the event.
Yes.
What's the next steps after that for you and this application?
Yeah, well, currently we're testing 2 other solutions that we're launching. One is for benefit providers to offer Team Carepal to their employees. 60% of organizations have no idea that their employees are looking after a loved one at home. And this is affecting, their productivity, retaining employees. I mean, they're having to leave the workforce, go down part-time. This is affecting, corporations across Canada. And so we can be that solution for them. So we have a benefit solution package that's being launched currently. We're testing it right now, which we're really excited about. And it comes with a customized economic health model, which might seem a little bit boring, but we can actually showcase through metrics how many employees we can retain for a company and how many production and hours we can get back for them. So that's one of it. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
The next one is we're launching a software solution for health organizations, a home care, continuing care, that sort of thing, to recognize caregivers and to bring them into the care plan and integrate them into their care plans. This is really exciting because any caregiver that has Team Carepal app can subscribe to any organization that has our software, and it opens up, like you said, that portal of communication, and it really elevates caring for their loved one to the next level.
Wow. So more of a personal question then, I guess, is so when you're coming up with all these new avenues to go after as the product develops.
Yeah.
Is it that these when you're building that product out, these new challenges are being presented as you uncover things and you say to yourself, there's enough of a need there that we need to implement that into our service as well.
Yeah.
Is that how that process works?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just uncovering layers as you go.
Well, and this is the other part of the beautiful innovation sector here in Edmonton. When you use the ERIN, like the experts on demand.
Yes. Yeah.
I have used that a couple of times to validate and hire consultants to dive in and figure out, is this a puzzle piece that's worth going down? Do we need this? Can you go talk to your networks? Can you go question it and find us, how should we shape that puzzle piece? Integral. Yeah.
And so it just the network is here not only to just get you off the ground, but to actually expand and and find the research or get the research done at least to validate
100%.
that these angles that we're looking at are justified, and we need to continue building a solution to that.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is fantastic to hear because that's something like we've talked about with other companies, and it's a common trend where it's like we're doing this, we're doing that, We set out to do this, but then we added this and we added that and we did this. And it's like, okay, but why did you add that all of a sudden? Or how did that light bulb get turned on that, we got to keep going and we got to move into this avenue now?
Well, and that's, the beautiful thing about, Edmonton Unlimited and Alberta Innovates is even Alberta Innovates, a TDA, I mean, they were like, well, first you got to validate. So you start with a micro voucher grant and then you got to validate these things. And then once you're done that and you validate it, you've learned so much from that process. Then you do the next step and you work towards the next step. And then there's all these supports along the way.
Yeah. And new things start to unveil as you're doing that.
Yeah.
What an incredible journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on all the success.
Well, one thing I do want to share that in the future, I would hope that a couple years from now, we are not only going to recognize caregivers for who they are, because I will not sleep until that's done, but Team Carepal, because of the Alberta Machine Learning Institute here in Alberta, we did a feasibility project with them on wondering if we can predict caregiver burnout, and we absolutely can. So with our new partnership with Bow Valley College, Team Carepal is not only going to predict caregiver burnout, but we're going to prevent it.
Holy, that's just another getting ahead of the curve.
Yeah. There's no reason why we shouldn't. We should be able to know exactly when a caregiver is starting to be distressed and get them the help they need.
Right. And having them that quickly accessible, getting them into the door of help. Quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. And don't let things escalate.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I can only imagine the amount of alleviation, even on the person who's being cared for. Because there's just that
ding, ding.
Right? There's that whole knowing that everyone's on board, knowing that everyone's, and I haven't been forgotten.
Well,
something hasn't been missed.
We know right now that 1 in 9 long-term care beds are filled unnecessarily due to the lack of supports at home.
Yep.
So by not, caring for the caregivers, where it substantially affects the person they're caring for and our healthcare system.
Just rolls downhill.
100%.
Yeah. That makes total sense. Super impressed by this. I can't wait to hear the pitch at the launch party. I see unlimited potential and success in this. Congratulations on the success you've had thus far.
Thank you.
And just the doors that you're opening, and I think you can't shut them now. They're there, they're open, and the value is just, it's unmeasurable.
It has to.
Yeah.
We have to.
Yeah, you betcha. So again, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us about
Thank you so much for having
your application.
me.
For sure.